morning, Off the Gridders. Brian calling with another edition of Off the Grid, daily motivational technical training for off the grid living. Welcome. Today I'm going to talk about tips for adjusting to the country life. As of today, in 2020, approximately 60 million Americans are living a rural lifestyle of some sort. Right? What's important to know, if you're one of those 60 million Americans or planning to join those 60 million Americans, well, some obvious things. Utilities, right? You're probably not going to be on the full grid if you're living off the grid. You'll probably have a septic tank. Maybe you want to start finding who is going to drain your septic tank and maybe have them come out and inspect it, when you install it or when you buy your place that has a septic tank, right? Utilities are a slightly different consideration when you're off the grid. You might be more interested in a water delivery service or a septic tank cleaning service than you are in county water, right, or sewage, right? You might be interested more in solar panels and windmills than you are in connecting to the power grid. So utilities are an obvious consideration. Security measures are another obvious consideration. Much like utilities, where we've done several presentations in off the grid, security is another important issue when living off the grid. We've done several presentations on it. You want to make sure that you buff up your smoke detectors, your burglar alarms. You're going to be a greater distance from emergency services like fire and police. So you need to be a little bit more independent, and you should have more warning systems in place. Right? Make sure you're ready for the weather. Right? Even if you don't think you're ever going to walk outside of your cabin on a cold winter day, be prepared to walk to town, maybe ski to town on a cold winter day if there's an emergency. If all of a sudden you get more snow than you've ever seen before, your car's buried and you need emergency services or food or whatever, and you need to get out of there, you better have the clothes. So have clothes, right? Be ready for cold weather, right? Dress for the weather. I mean, obviously, if you've got heat, you need hats, and you got a lot of sun. You need protection from the sun. Even an umbrella can be helpful, right? But cold is a big killer in rural living, and so be ready if you need to leave, your warm dwelling. Right? Plan for your travel, right? Travel on country roads can be a lot more dangerous than travel in the suburbs, right? They're not as maintained. You might have issues, and not be able to get emergency services. So plan your travel around the weather and the conditions on the roads. And then lastly, it's always important to get involved in your community. We found through our research and through our customers that people living off the grid are actually closer to their neighbors than people living in the suburbs. Now, the neighbors may be a mile or two away as opposed to next door, but they actually know each other by name and socialize together and help each other out, right? In fact, one of the greatest traits of being an off-the-gridder is having the ability to ask for help, right? Because if you don't, you probably won't make it. So get involved in the community. That's part of being an off-the-gridder. No matter how small the community, it might be just a couple of houses, Maybe your community consists of 4 houses, in 20 square miles. It's community nonetheless. You need to get involved. All right, that's all for us today. Thanks so much for your time. Once again, these motivational talks are not meant to be a one-stop shop for all the knowledge under the subject header, rather to be a motivational start in your quest for knowledge in the area we're discussing. You can find daily motivational technical training such as this at Off the Grid. Now go out there and kick some butt on your off-the-grid land, or increase your knowledge about off-the-grid living, or both. Once again, this is Brian at Online Land Sales.